If you believe the commercials, the future of driving is a seamless, confident march into the electric age. It's a story told by the household names you grew up with, the century-old giants effortlessly pivoting to lead the next transportation revolution. They paint a picture of progress, innovation, and a bright, clean tomorrow. But behind the slick multi-billion-dollar ad campaigns, it is a completely different story. It's one you won't see in the Super Bowl commercials. It's a story of financial turmoil, of factories that can't adapt, and of a dawning, terrifying realisation that they might already be too late. For automakers like Ford, Toyota and Volkswagen, the transition isn't just a challenge, it's actually a financial nightmare. This is why the brands you trust are secretly terrified of the very future they claim to embrace. I'm Dave, I'm taking on the legacy auto. Well, the numbers don't just paint a grim picture, they're staggering. Ford's dedicated EV unit, known as Model E, is projected to lose between $5 and $5.5 billion in 2025 alone. Okay, but realise they lost $5.1 billion in 2024. And to put that into perspective, for every single EV they sold in 2024, they lost tens of thousands of dollars. They would have lost far less money if they'd just bought all of their customers a Tesla. And Ford isn't alone. The Volkswagen Group, an industrial titan, is grappling with shrinking profit margins as it pours tens of billions into its own electric gamble. Their operating profit fell by a third in the first half of 2025, squeezed between the immense cost of EV development and the tariffs and the shrinking ICE car market. They're openly admitting they've got a major problem when their CFO, Chief Financial Officer Arno Antlitz, stated that the sales are just not there. They're not even back to pre-COVID levels. He said they have lost over 500,000 sales and they have just 1 or 2 years to turn this problem around. And that's what he said in public. So what's going on here? Why are companies that perfected the automobile for over a century struggling so badly to build its successor? Because this isn't just about swapping a petrol tank for a battery. It's about dismantling 100 years of process, culture, and economics. Well, first they have to deal with the square peg in a round hole problem. These companies are trying to build 21st century vehicles inside 20th century systems. Their factories, their supply chains, their entire manufacturing philosophy were all designed for the internal combustion engine. It's a beautifully complex machine with thousands of moving parts. EVs, on the other hand, are incredibly simple by comparison, more like a computer on wheels. But building them efficiently requires a completely different mindset. It's far more like Apple than Henry Ford. And newcomers like Tesla and Chinese powerhouse BYD built their companies around this new philosophy from day one. They use innovations like gigacasting, where massive injection molds produce huge sections of the car body in a single piece. In over 100 years of the mass-produced production line approach, not a single auto company considered trying this. Yet having been shown by Tesla that they not only work, but they offer a stronger, a faster and a cheaper vehicle, the legacy automakers now are falling over themselves, scrambling to adopt this method. But they're playing catch-up, trying to retrofit new ideas into old, stubborn infrastructure. It's a bit like trying to turn a steamship into a spaceship while it's still sailing. But maybe the most dangerous anchor dragging them down isn't made of steel. It's actually cultural. It's the very business model that made them rich. The dealership network. For decades, automakers and the dealers didn't make the bulk of their money selling you a car. In fact, the manufacturers didn't even sell you a car at all. That job was for the dealers to worry about. The manufacturer just sold their products direct to the dealers. End of problem. And they didn't make most of their profit from that sale. It was made by the servicing of that car, the oil changes, the filter replacements, the spark plugs, the belts. It's a nearly endless stream of maintenance that petrol cars require and, to keep the warranty intact, are forced to have. EVs obliterate that model. With far fewer moving parts, they need drastically less maintenance. Their engine, the electric motor, is basically just two parts. It's a stator, the stationary bit, and a rotor, the bit that goes round. This loss of servicing is a terrifying prospect for dealerships where service and parts can make up the majority of their profits. Most analysts predict a massive drop in service earnings in an all-EV world. Well, suddenly, the very partners Legacy Auto needs to sell their new EVs, the dealers, have a powerful financial incentive to resist them. They have a deep internal conflict that direct-to-customer companies like Tesla just don't have. While the old world giants are tangled in their own legacy, a new kind of automaker is moving in at a speed they simply can't comprehend. For years, new models were expected to last for years, absolutely unchanged. Then they do a quick refresh that basically kept 90% of the parts exactly the same, but just tarted up the appearance. They completely dismissed Tesla, who made major improvements on the fly. Some say they make up to 23 changes per day. Well, for a company like Mercedes, which places multi-year contracts on most parts from their supply chain, this was just crazy. They predicted confidently that this wouldn't work. A niche manufacturer like that would be crushed once the real car companies showed up with their own EVs built on their tradition. By the way, amongst some of the old-timers, that belief still exists today. Tesla, more importantly, Chinese manufacturers like BYD, didn't just build a new kind of car. They built a new kind of car company, vertically integrated, because they were making a new vehicle that didn't already exist. They couldn't just buy the bits they needed off the shelf. So they simply made them to exactly the spec they needed themselves. It's vertical integration. They are tech companies first. They're automakers second. That was learnt on the fly. And their expertise isn't just in batteries and motors, but it's in the software and the supply chain efficiency and the manufacturing innovations and selling it all directly to you. They aren't burdened by a sprawling, expensive dealership network demanding 10 to 15% of their profit. Well, the results have been devastating for the competition. BYD, which only stopped making pure gas cars in 2021, quickly dethroned Volkswagen as the best-selling car brand in China. And China is the world's largest auto market. In 2024, Tesla and BYD were nearly tied for the global lead in EV sales, leaving the rest of the world and the rest of the industry far behind. But this isn't just about market share, it's about a fundamental cost advantage. While Ford is losing billions, companies like BYD are churning out high-quality, affordable EVs at a scale the West can't match. For now, producing an EV is still generally more expensive than a comparable petrol car, mainly because of the battery. But that's changing fast. They can't cope with speed. And analysts at Gartner predict that by the end of this year, with battery costs plummeting, their EVs will actually be cheaper to produce than their ICE-powered counterparts. Well, this is the oncoming force. It's an army of agile, vertically integrated, cost-efficient competitors who aren't just aiming for a piece of the market, they want the whole thing. Well, this brings us to the slow-motion collision at the heart of the industry. Legacy makers are caught in a perfect trap. It's an existential crisis with no easy way out, or quite possibly with no way out at all. Now, I clearly remember a video on BBC News, this was a few years ago, where a car with kids on board had caught fire inside the lion enclosure of Longleat Safari Park. They couldn't stay in the car, it was on fire, and they couldn't get out because the lions were right outside their door. And they were in dilemma, but in that case, the park rangers came dashing to the rescue and literally at the last minute saved them either from getting burnt or eaten. But for a while, it was literally a matter of choosing how they were going to die. Now, with EVs, there are no rangers on the way to save them. The world is moving to electric, driven by regulations, environmental concerns, and sheer consumer demand. If they stand still, stay inside, and only make gas cars, they guarantee their own obsolescence. It's going to be a slow but certain death. So they have to jump. They must invest in an electric future. But the jump itself might be fatal. The lions are out there waiting, and these lions are the bankers. As we've seen, the transition is horrifically expensive. They are pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into developing EV tech, retooling factories and securing battery supplies, all while their EV divisions hemorrhage cash. They're burning through money at a rate that's completely unsustainable, and profitability, that's still years away if it ever arrives. And they're trapped. If they slow down EV investment to stop the bleeding, well, that's what Ford was forced to do by just delaying some of its spending. But that just risks falling even further behind the technology that's available with Tesla and the Chinese brands, who aren't tapping on the brakes. Or do they accelerate spending to catch up and risk financial ruin long before their EVs ever turn to profit? Even Toyota, the world's largest automaker, sees the danger. Their chairman, Koei Toyoda, he remains famously sceptical of an all-in EV strategy, arguing for a multi-pathway approach which has to include hybrids. He believes the global market for pure EVs might top out at just 30%. It's already 50% in China. Anyway, it's a calculation and a cautious approach that protects Toyota from the massive losses Ford is currently seeing, but it carries its own risk. What if he's wrong? What if the market tips to 60 or 70%, or even like Norway, 100%, far faster than anyone, including him, expects? Toyota could be left holding a massive fleet of hybrids nobody wants and actually may be illegal to sell. Well, this is the terror facing legacy auto CEOs. Every path forward is loaded with peril. They're fighting a war on two fronts, competing with the agile, low-cost EV startups of the future while being shackled to the immense costs and complexities of their own past. Well, for over a century, names like Ford, Volkswagen and General Motors have been more than just brands. They've been symbols of industrial might and cultural identity. They put the world on wheels. But the electric revolution doesn't care about history or tradition. It is a relentless force of disruption, and it's brutally exposing the weaknesses of these giants. They are being outmaneuvered on technology, undercut on price, and outpaced on innovation. That to be true, it's not all bad news for them. In the US, companies like GM claim it's all on track and they've clawed back some market share from a stumbling Tesla. But just look at the comparison. 2024, Tesla sold nearly 2 million EVs. GM sold, 114,000. They could hardly do worse, unless they're called Ford, and they seem to be going backwards. But take a look at the bigger picture. Their greatest strengths, their scale, history, and dealer networks have become, in many ways, their greatest weaknesses. They are now burdened down by the past, struggling to fund the present, but now terrified of a future that's running out of their control. Question is no longer if they can change, but if it's already too late. Can these companies truly reinvent their very DNA? Can they start again? Or will some of these household names become cautionary tales for the 21st century? The giants who saw the future coming but were simply too big, too slow, and too stuck in their ways to survive it. Well, the next few years are going to be important. It will tell the tale, and the automotive landscape on the other side will likely look very different from the one we all grew up with. But what do you think? Are the legacy automakers going to make the transition, Or are we watching the beginning of the end for some of the biggest names in the business? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm Dave, and as always, if you've enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe.